today we are with Jonathan, a reservist in the IDF, but he is not only a reservist, he was subcommandant of the 646 Brigade. Maybe later you can explain the importance of this brigade. And after your military service, you used your experience in elite units of the IDF to start the extreme simulation. What is it? Is it?
It's a company, yeah.
With the extreme simulation company that trains military forces and emergencies in Israel.
And also around the world.
And also around the world.
Yeah.
And, to confront extreme situation with your specialty is the treatment of wounded. And since no mitzvah is ever lost, you were saved by the same medic you trained, and she saved your life. This is what I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where should I start?
So let's start by this. How did it occur to you to start this company, Extreme Simulation, and what does it do?
I served in the IDF in some special units and infantry units, and when I finished my military service, I started. I learned. I studied in university organizational psychology, and I started dealing with leadership and resilience skills. And I worked in the IDF and some other organization in developing leadership and resilience skills. And one day, one of the commanders that were under me while during my service in Duvdevan unit, he told me they had clashed with terrorists and they have had some wounded soldiers, and he told me it was hard for him to command on this kind of incident. And I told him why. We train a lot. We have our ways to cope with it. You know the procedures and everything. And he said, the thing was that the experience was new for me. It was hard for me to see wounded people, to feel whatever was there, even in the most in the senses, such as first time that you smell it, first time that you see it, first time to talk with wounded soldiers, and sometimes to encourage them and so on. And I asked him what they want. So I understood that the way we trained things then wasn't good enough to prepare forces for this kind of incidents. And I asked him, okay, so what would you like to gain from the training? And he told me I would like it to feel in the first time as if it was my second time. Like the first hard experience will feel for the commanders, for the caregivers, first responders, fighters, and so on, to feel as if it's already the second time that they're doing it, because things are always much easier in the second time. So I understood that we need to create a way of training that will allow people that need to deal with extreme situations to feel in the first time as if it was their second time. And this is what we are actually doing. We create the simulations in a way that are very realistic and allow the trainees to feel really as if that it's a real incident. So this is the most important part of what we are doing, and it's involves with the experience, the sensual experience, the smell, the view, the way you even feel. Our mannequins, they really feel like human skin and so on.
What do you smell when you say the smell? The smell of blood?
It, it, it depends with what kind of incidents we're dealing, because we also, for example, I will tell you that for example, when we create a site of an earthquake, we don't train only medical crews. For example, we train crews that need to deal with casualty identification for deceased people. So sometimes, if there are under demolished houses, for example, in case of earthquake or missiles that hit houses, so with the rescue forces, sometimes they need to deal with the very hard smell of bodies that are already decomposed. And it's one of the whoever been in this kind of operation always said that this is one of the hardest thing to work while there is such a smell. But this is only one example. It can be smell of blood, of any other body fluids, bodies that lay them or like that are already decomposed and so on. So we have for each incident we put we use the specific smell that the trainees are going to experience in the real situation, and when they meet it and they feel the smell, they say to themselves, "Okay, we've been there, we know." But smell, it's only one of the examples. It's only one example. For example, we also, it's not only the sensual experience. It's treatment tools that also are part of the simulation and so on. So it's real simulation, and they use the same, for example, evacuation vehicles that they really use. So it's trained them not as a vehicle. It's the real vehicle. It's the real OR. It's the real machinery that they use normally, and this is how they train to make it really with their own equipment, with their own platforms. So we needed to adapt our simulation equipment to function in the field, in very hard terrain, and so on.
Wow, this is really amazing. And you took it to other countries, you said?
Yeah, we use it in some other countries. We did the last year a big exercise with U.S. Air Force that we simulated attacks on American air bases with casualties and with damages to equipment, with deceased soldiers that needed an identification and so on. And we can also, our knowledge in Israel, even before the war, was very, we had a lot of knowledge about dealing with this kind of incidents, and now it's much more. So we really know how it looks like, what it looks like, and we really can simulate it very well.
Because now with the war, I think you have gained a new knowledge about urban warfare and the guerrilla tactics, and what have you learned?
We learned we learned a lot. It's so much, but there are hundreds of lessons learned about how to evacuate, how to put the casualties in the vehicles, how to do. We learned how to evacuate very fast. We learned how to give blood for casualties in the field, and many other lessons. And the fact that I'm here talking with you, it's part of it, because I think in any other military organization in the world other than the IDF, I wouldn't have survived this kind of
Injury.
because the treatment in the field was very fast and effective, and the evacuation was very fast. So
What
it's
happened
because
to
of a
you?
lot of knowledge.
How did you get injured?
I was injured on January 8th, 2024. I went to help one of our forces that was in clash with terrorists. And when I got to the area that where the clash happened, my vehicle, we were shot by an RPG that missed us by centimeters. And then we went to search for the terrorists, but they hide it, they hide in civilian neighborhood, between houses and cars and so on. They blend in this area, and they were waiting for us, and they shot. They surprised us and shot at me and hit six bullets in my chest, in my shoulder, and the legs. And I lost a lot of blood, and I had tension pneumothorax, which means that the chest of the area of the chest was full of blood and the air. But my team and also the paramedic that came after a few minutes managed to treat me and bring me to the helicopter very fast, and the good treatment saved my life.
And what were your thoughts when you were between life and death, and then when you were in rehab?
My thoughts were the first thought was, I don't believe that I was hit. Like, this was really my first thought. That, oh, I can't believe it's real. It's really happening. And then when I thought that I'm not going to survive, mainly about my children. I felt that they were going to live without their father, and it was a hard thought. But later I regained a little bit of force and fought to stay alive. And I got Litav, the paramedic. She gave me he had to cut my chest and put a drain, and she did it with no anesthesia, because she didn't have time, and she didn't want to. She wanted me to keep coughing blood, and she didn't want to give me anesthesia. So she put this drain that really enabled me to breathe. And later the helicopter came very fast, and so on.
It's
So
yes.
I just I'm j- I so my first thought was about the children, about the family. my second later, all my thoughts were to survive and to fight. And when I saw the paramedic that came, and I knew her from before because I knew her for many years because we trained her, and also she was under my command. I was very happy to see her, and I count a lot on her. So I had the feeling that I can, you know, maybe survive because she's very skilled, and it's good to know someone to meet in this kind of situation, someone that you know and you count on.
Of course. Now it's impressive that many of the startups that Israel invented or founded were done after the military service because people found the idea while they were in the starting in the IDF.
Yeah, Israel is a leading. It's a startup nation. People
Yes,
have the character of being entrepreneurs, and I think that this war will bring much more many startups in
many
many
startups.
kinds of fields. I think for because many of the soldiers in the IDF are reservists, and some of them are already in high tech, and they see the needs in the war. And it's always that Israel, the wars of Israel are always, we are always in the front of the war, but later all the world is going to meet the same challenges. I'm sure about it. We are going towards, I think, decades of wars in Europe and all around the world. And the Israelis will keep on leading. And now I think in the next few years, we're going to see a rise of many Israeli startups in the fields of defense, in the field of cyber, in the field of drones, and also medical and rehabilitation, because many were injured and many dealt with treating wounded soldiers. So I'm sure that's going to rise in so many ways.
Yes, and this is the longest war of Israel. And many times war is important to bring peace. What do you think? What did we gain in this war? What did Israel gain in this war?
First, Israel didn't want this war, and it started with the attack on us. So we didn't choose, but we didn't choose to fight this war. But I think this war showed our enemies. You know, Hezbollah was very. I think for Hezbollah and Hamas, they were very certain about their capability to destroy Israel, and they thought that if at least that they were even, and they can do a lot of damage to Israel, and they saw that they can do it. I think they were very certain that they are going to lead to the destruction of Israel, and we gained. We really weakened Hamas. We really weakened the axle of evil of Iran, and so our situation in this aspect is much better than what it was 2 years ago. We paid a heavy price for it, but we our situation now is better, and we know also who we're dealing with. I think that the Israeli younger generation is amazing in the way they in everything that they're doing in the battlefield. Oh, it's soldiers that are 18 to 21 years old. They do a wonderful job. They are not spoiled. They're ready to sacrifice. They're very clever. And they know what they do. So I think we know, and their views are really strong. Certainly, in comparison to what's going on in the West, that I think people they don't know who they are, and their values are very weak, and they care about nothing but themselves, and they I don't know deal with stupid things. So the young Israeli generation is we can see that is really good, and even not in the military. Also you can see it in the way they volunteered, and in general, the Israeli society is strong, and people helped each other in any way. Even for us personally, as a family, when I was on duty, and also when I was in hospital after my injury, everybody helped us. Everybody offered their help. The society is very strong, and it's. I don't think it's a gain of the war, but the war showed how strong we are.
And what is the state of morale among Israeli soldiers at the moment?
I think that the morale is very high. Now I'm not in the battlefield because I was injured. But from what I hear from my brigade and what I see, the morale is very high. People, they know that this war is very justified, and it's the fight for our life. It's not like British soldier that is going to Afghanistan or Iraq, or I don't know, like doing something in the other part of the world. We know that we defend our houses and our brothers and sisters. And when you are in the IDF, you see how much like the success, and how much we win, and that the terrorists can hardly do anything. So they do, when there are thousands of soldiers acting in Gaza every day. So sometimes they manage to the enemy can cause some casualties. But in general, the IDF is doing the missions very successfully, and the morale is very high.
They are not tired.
It's hard because, especially because for reservists, but also for regular soldiers, they are a little bit tired. But I think more than they are, because people have families, people have jobs and business. Sometimes their own business, and it's hard to deal that way. They think that we are also Israelis are very flexible and know how to arrange things to work even with this kind of things, like with not being there and so on. For example, my companies ran. I was in the miluim, in the reserve duty, and some of my workers. And later I was injured, and still, things are working. And the managers, which generally normally are very young, they're in their 20s, sometimes even in their early 20s, they manage to run. The they managed to close the gap and do it very successfully. So it's things are working. Yeah, it's hard. People are tired in a way, but I don't think that it's something that's going to affect the war effort.
What when you were in Gaza, what is one of the most impressive experiences you had there in Gaza?
I think that the most impressive experience it always with people, with our soldiers that did amazing work without being, certainly the war is a stressful environment, but the motivation is very high, and the way that it's impressive to see a reserve brigade that is all of the soldiers and the officers, everyone are civilian, and from all the parts of the population in Israel, religious, non-religious, Druze, Bedouins, and so on. And you see lawyers and accountants and so on coming together, and they become soldiers in a very efficient, and this very efficient machine is starting to work, and you couldn't notice that these people are not doing this job for their life, but they have different job, because in a minute they become an organization that you can't win it. It's so strong, and I think it's an amazing thing in Israel. But for someone can be a civilian, and in a minute they become fighters, officers. Everyone have their own jobs the military jobs, and it's like people do it so professionally and with motivation that it's amazing.
And in the whole world, there have been accusations of genocide for Israel. What would you answer them? What would be your answer to these accusations?
I think that first thing, I think that these accusations are the accusations itself is they don't they didn't check the real numbers and real facts, and they ask these questions only about Israel. They don't normally, those people that talk about Israel and how Israel is fighting, they don't compare it to how many people were killed, or even civilians were killed or injured in any other war. And this war that is conducted in such a urban area with so many people inside, we do it so gently that I don't think that there is any other army that deals so much with, for example, evacuating the population and so on. And Hamas is trying to get as many as they can of Palestinians killed, because this is the way they think that they can win. They want to win through, they know that they can't win with military capabilities. So what they're trying to do is they always, they're always under hospitals, under schools. They send their children forward. I saw it not once and not twice, many times. They send children in front of them to check where the IDF soldiers are, because they know that we're not going to shoot them. And they go without they don't have they don't go with uniforms, and sometimes they put their weapons inside houses or hospitals and so on, and go without weapons to the to meet the weapon in the house and then use it. So they make the environment very hard to differentiate between fighters and non-fighters, and they do it intentionally. They want to cause us to kill civilians and hit places like hospitals and mosques. So this is one thing. Secondly, many of those who committed the murder and massacre of October 7 were, you can call it civilians, but they were Gazans that came after the Nukhba wave and started to kill Israeli civilians with knives and axes, and so they are like called civilians, and those who are who kept the soldiers were the hostages. Those who were guarding them, they were they were called journalists and this kind of, and so on. So the population in Gaza is very much involved in the effort to kill Israelis, and you can't count them as civilians, these people. So certainly we're not doing genocide, but I think we fight in a way that there is no other military or country that would fight so in a way, in that way, like we are doing, try not to hit uninvolved people.
Of course. Now, to conclude, you were in Mexico recently. Tell us a little bit about your experience in Mexico.
I visited Mexico. Unfortunately, I was just in Mexico City, so I didn't see too much of Mexico, but it was a great experience for me, especially like the most I think the most important part of my experience was meeting people, because the Jewish community is very warm. I felt that I'm at home very fast with those people, that I can say everything. I really felt at home. I felt that the community in Mexico is very connected to Israel, but not only to Israel. That is very connected. That the Mexican Jews are very connected to themselves, to the tradition, to the Hebrew. Many lone soldiers that are coming to serve in the IDF. So I felt that the community, I think in many ways, the connection to Israel is, it's symbolized, I think, for many people, the connection to themselves. Because people that are not connected to themselves and they don't know what they want of themselves, they are also not connected to Israel. But those who have strong values and know who they are also connected to Israel, and they really felt it in Mexico.
Will you bring your company to Mexico?
Yeah, I hope that we will have also customers in Mexico, and we will be able to train and help save lives also in Mexico. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, for this interview.
Thank you.